Welcome in to another fun, exciting, and stimulating lecture from the one and only Coach Hughes. How's everybody doing out there in virtual world? I hope everything is going well from you. We will continue our discussion on the ancient world, civilizations. They're complex. The world's first civilization, the Sumerians that we talked about in the last lecture, and we'll elaborate a little bit more on what happened with those Sumerians. Today's lecture, prior to Chapter 3 test. Remember, all of this information can be found in Canvas under modules, along with all my contact information for all my students. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to email me or contact me at any time. Shall we begin? I think we shall. If I find the right spot for my picture there. All right. So, in the last lecture, we talked about all that was the Sumerians, their religion with the Zagreits. We talked about a lot of their inventions, the potter's wheel, the ox-drawn plow, the clock, the calendar, and much, much more. Today, we're going to talk about a group of people called the Babylonians. So, by 1800 BC, a powerful, and I do mean powerful, city-state, and remember a city-state is kind of a small city that acts all big and bad like their own country, had arisen. Is that a word? Arisen? Arose in Babylon. And old Sumerian city on the Euphrates River is located near what we said is present-day Baghdad, Iraq, there in the Middle East. No B, circle B, know it, put it in your brain, man. Babylonian's greatest monarch, a king, a ruler of a kingdom or empire is Hammurabi. You know, there was this old show on Disney XD called Kicking It, and they had Bobby Hammurabi or Samarabi. There's a bunch of samurais. It was Kicking It. It was a pretty good show. But back to this. Babylonian's greatest monarch or ruler of a kingdom or empire, Hammurabi, conquered all of Mesopotamia. What you see there in the picture on the left side of your screen there. So remember, Mesopotamia, a Greek word that means land between the rivers, in this case, the Euphrates and the Tigris. Hammurabi managed to conquer all of that area, all of those city-states located in the area, all of that ancient day civilizations that were there. Hammurabi was able to conquer all of that territory. Now, it's a pretty good picture there of Hammurabi. We kind of look the same. Got my beard there. I needed to look a little bit more and braid it. But during his 42-year reign, it's a long time for an ancient day king to control an area. Hammurabi oversaw many building and irrigation projects. Remember, irrigation is kind of the technology to help explode the crop situation there, to help explode the population because the farmers needed extra farm hands and had more children. All improved the tax collection system and brought prosperity through increased trade. There's this old saying, if the people are happy, then they're probably not going to assassinate or kill you. And if Hammurabi did all these things to improve tax collection, irrigation and building projects, and the majority of the people were happy, there shouldn't be any reason to kind of assassinate him. That's why he probably prevailed for that 42-year time period there. Now, one of Hammurabi's most famous reasons that he is so famous, I'm trying to move my picture there. Hammurabi is most famous for his Hammurabi's Code, the earliest known written collection of laws the world had ever seen. Circle D, commit it to memory. It is on the quiz. It's on the test too. Okay. So Hammurabi is most famous for his law code. And you need to know D, you need to know E, quiz and test. It contained 282, yes, 282 laws on everything from trade, loans, theft, injury, marriage, and even murder. Yes, I said murder. If you've ever heard the phrase, an eye for an eye, this was Hammurabi's law code. It was very, very strict, and people pay attention when you have something that is very, very strict. If you see that somebody has broken a law and you see what happened to them, you, yes, you sitting right there, are less likely to break a law. So, a couple of things here. If you think an eye for an eye, let's say that under Hammurabi, you get caught stealing. You bad, bad boy or girl out there. What were you thinking? So, what they would do is if they caught you from stealing, they would take a sword. You'll have to forgive me. I only have lightsabers. So they took a sword, or in my case, a lightsaber, and they would stretch your arm out like this. And then the sword, or in this case, the lightsaber, but think about it. If you were caught stealing, that's what they would do. They would chop your hands off. And in that sense, you only have half an arm or an up. Why? Why would they do that? Why would they cut your arms off if you're stealing? Well, think about it. If you've got just these for hands, it's very hard to steal something. It's very hard to do that. You can't. Think about this. With social media like it is, and all of the he said, she said, gossip, all of that's what's going on out there. If you were caught under Hammurabi gossiping, here's what they would do. They would literally, and then do you know how hard it is to speak when you don't have a tongue? I guarantee you, you're not going to be doing much gossip because people can't understand what you're saying. They couldn't. So, if you were caught gossiping, they would cut your tongue out. You wouldn't do much gossiping after that. If you stole something, they would cut your arms off. You're not stealing too much if you ain't got but two nubs for an arm. And I'm sorry, that's what it was. Hey, how about this? You got caught looking at another man's wife? They would take your eyeball, pop them. Hey, you ain't gonna do much more looking. I can guarantee you that. There was all kinds of these type of laws under Hammurabi. They were extremely, extremely to the point, to say the least. I wanted to say violent, but they were strict. You could not steal. You could not gossip. You could not look at another man's wife. Any of that going on because the punishment was harsh. If you think that you have a buddy or a friend and they're sitting here, I ain't got no phone because I'm gossiping all the time. Guess what? You're not going to do. You're not going to gossip. Okay, you're just not. And even in 2020, there are countries today who has this type of Hammurabi kind of justice or laws. Now you're thinking, oh, this is the ancient world. Oh, no, 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 no. Do not think it. You need to make sure if you leave the United States and you go and you travel to another country that you need to know their rules and laws theirs, because you can get caught up. When I was younger and President Bill Clinton was the president, we had a situation where a young man traveled outside the United States. I think it was after a graduation. It was kind of his graduation trip, and he went to Singapore. And Singapore is an Asian country that have very, very, very strict laws. And he was kind of cutting up, having some fun, and he took a can of spray paint. Is what he did. He took a can of spray paint, shook it up, he got busted for spray paint. Okay. Now, if you're sitting at a railroad crossing here in the United States and a train goes by, you can see just all these different cars that have been graffitied. And you could probably see everything that's been graffitied here in your hometown. But in Singapore, this is a big deal. The kid was arrested, caused a national incident to where the president of the United States, then President Bill Clinton, had to call and say, hey, this is one of our citizens. Can you go easy? Blah, blah, blah. No, they didn't go easy. This kid broke a law in a different country. You know what they did? They removed his shirt and he was sentenced to caning. So they removed his shirt, and think of an Indiana Jones type of whip. That whip. But here, that's not even the bad part. They soaked this leather whip. I know this is a lightsaber, not a whip. But they soaked this leather whip in water overnight. And if you've ever put leather in water, oh my gosh, it's heavy. So he got like, I can't remember how many lashes with this whip he got. But put him up, chained him up. Here's the first lash. Broke the skin of his back. One. Two. The kid passes out. They get smelling salad. Hey, hey, are you awake? Yeah, I'm awake. What happened? Here comes number three. They wanted to make sure that he got his full punishment. His full punishment. His full punishment. They wasn't gonna let him pass out and finish it. They woke him up, and then every time he passed out after that, they woke him back up so he could get his full amount of lashes. 2020, things are still going on like this. You need to know different cultures when you travel outside the United States. When George W. Bush was president, he traveled to Iraq, and he was kind of up at the podium talking, and one of the reporters took took the shoe off and chucked it at the president. There's YouTube video of it. Go look at it. And the president goes, whoop! The president of the United States, whoop, ducks a shoe, woo, oh, shoe goes back. But the sole of the shoe in the Middle Eastern countries is the highest form of disrespect. They were disrespecting the president of the United States, then President George W. Bush. In 2020, there's all kinds of rules, and some of these kind of Hammurabi rules are still in play in 2020 in some countries. So you better be real careful where you go, and you better know what the laws are and what might be the punishment to those laws. Now, I thought it'd be fun to kind of show you some of these crazy laws that are actually still on the books. 2020, these laws exist. Alabama. Did you know it is illegal to wear a fake mustache that causes laughter in church? It's against the law. Alaska. It is illegal to wake a sleeping bear to take a photo. Hey, that bear over there sleeping. Let's get a selfie. Hold on, let me get my camera up. Well, that ain't a good photo. Wake it! Wake it, bear! Ah! Don't do it. Arkansas, it's illegal to mispronounce Arkansas. Arkansas. Don't do it. Don't do it. California, a frog that dies during a frog jumping contest can not legally be eaten. All you frog lovers. Georgia, it is illegal to keep ice cream cone in your back pocket on Sundays. Today's Sunday. Well, it is when I'm doing this video. Don't stick an ice cream cone in your back pocket. I'm skipping around. I'm not going to show you all of them. You can go check out this PowerPoint later. Let's see. Just want to kind of do some good ones. All right. I think I skipped. Did I skip a slide? I want to say I skipped a slide. Hold on. All right. So in Indiana, mustaches are illegal if the bearer has a tendency to habitually kiss other humans. Idaho, it is illegal to give your sweetheart a box of chocolates weighing more than 50 pounds. Hawaii, coins are not allowed to be placed on one's ears. Iowa, a one-armed piano player must by law perform for free. I'm not paying. He's got one arm. Texas, it's illegal to sell one's eyeball. Utah, it's illegal not to drink milk. Tennessee, students, listen to this. If you live across the border of our lovely state of Alabama in Tennessee, it's illegal to share your Netflix password. South Dakota, it's illegal to sleep in a cheese factory. Stop breaking in the cheese factory and sleeping. Wisconsin, it's illegal to serve butter substitutes in prison. Gotta have that. Washington, this is probably my favorite. The harassing of Bigfoot, Sasquatch, or other undiscovered subspecies is a felony punishable by a fine or imprisonment. So the messing with Sasquatch commercials, you're breaking the law. Whistling underwater is prohibited in West Virginia. Wyoming, you may not, I repeat, not take a picture of a rabbit from January to April without official permit. Get your permits in Wyoming if you want to take a picture of a rabbit. Just throwing that out there. Okay. Now, the Hammurabi Code was important not for how thorough it was, but also because it was written down. They actually took the time and they wrote it because remember, we had cuneiform, the world's first written language or written writing. Okay. People all over the empire could read exactly what was against the law. So when you went out and committed a crime, yes, sir, I didn't know stealing was, how you say, illegal. Sir, we have these tablets you see here placed all over the empire, and we have people that go out and read to those that do not read in public places. So you should have heard this. And people had to be like, mercy, show mercy. Some of the ideas are still found in laws that we use today, but you couldn't get around of it because people could literally say, you can't punish me for that because I didn't know it was against the law. It was written down. People went to these public forums, these places, and read the laws and they posted them. People ran out of excuses. And when they saw people's arms get cut off, tongues lashed out, ears cut off for eavesdropping, eyes poked out, number of other things that I will not mention that did occur. But people got the hint, and the crime rate, believe it or not, was extremely low because people liked their limbs and their eyes. Okay. Hammurabi, for whatever reason, his law code was successful. Now, several other civilizations also developed in and around the area that we are talking about. Mesopotamia, yes, the Greek word meaning land between two rivers, but also the Fertile Crescent because the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers on both sides of this land, Mesopotamia, also had fertile silt soil. As their armies battled for supremacy, each other for Mesopotamia's fertile land controlled the region passed from, as you can imagine, one empire to another. It was kind of a chaos up after Hammurabi's successful empire reign of 42 years, if you remember from earlier this slide. Let's talk about some of these later peoples. Some of the later peoples, the Hittites, the mighty Hittites of Asia Minor, they captured Babylon roughly 1595, give or take a few years, BC, with strong iron weapons. Not this plastic junk that I use right now, but iron. And it usually went to the people that had superior technology. Again, their technology compared to our technology could be as simple as using iron weapons in battle against inferior bronze weapons that we talked about in a previous lecture. Also, the Hittites were pretty skilled. They went into battle on chariots. Ho, 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 ho. Howdy horse, howdy horse, howdy horse. They went into battle. They fought on chariots, which also gives the perception of high grounds and arrows and fighting while riding. All of those things. The Hittite king was eventually killed, and another group called the Kashites captured Babylon and ruled roughly for almost 400 years. And when I say 400 years here, 300 years there, it really is kind of a drop in a bucket compared to some people's rule. So keep that in mind. Now, one of the groups that I want you to know from here on to eternity, it seems like, the Assyrians. It doesn't matter what we're talking about in world history. We always kind of come back to the Assyrians. They really never go away. So know this for the quiz and the test. The Assyrians were the next group to conquer all of Mesopotamia. In the picture over there, right there. My eyes are pointing that way. Yeah, that way. That area, the Tigris and Euphrates, Mesopotamia, the Greek word, land between the rivers. Know it, know it, know it, know it. They ruled from Nineveh, circle F, know that for the quiz test, a city in the north. One of the first libraries was in Nineveh and held 25 tablets of stories and songs and just history in general. The Assyrians also collected taxes, enforced laws, and raised troops through local leaders. So the Assyrians kind of got their act together, if you would. And that made them an lasting group of people in this area. All right. The Assyrians also built roads, man, to link distant parts of the empire. The road situation is extremely important. The fastest way that you can get from point A to point B is on a road. Because if you think about it, if you run through the forest or go through the wilderness, sometimes you don't have a clear path. You don't know where you're going. You get lost. So they built roads that really connected these city states to one another, these city states in this civilization. And when you're on a road, you follow the road. You get from point A to point B quicker and faster. It allowed armies to get to where they need quicker to conquer possible people. In 612 BC, the Claudians, a group from the Syrian desert, conquered the Assyrians. Don't let that fool you. The Syrians never really go away, though. It's like the Goonies. Never say die. Never. Never don't do it. One of my favorite topics here. Circle both of these, know both of these for the quiz and the test. King Nebuchadnezzar, the most famous Claudian king, rebuilt Babylon into arguably one of the most beautiful cities to ever exist. Now, why did he do that? Nebuchadnezzar ordered the Hanging Gardens to be built in Babylon for his wife. We've done a lot of things for the missus out there who missed her green mountainous homeland. The Hanging Gardens were one of the 7 wonders, count them, 7 wonders of the ancient world. We're talking great architectural achievements in a time period where you're saying, how did they build such as, how do you get a garden in Babylon, which is kind of located in a desert? How do you channel the water there? It's not like a canal. They had like pulley systems and things that dumped water from high up. An amazing feat to be accomplished in the desert. Other seven wonders are the pyramids of ancient Egypt. That was a seven wonders of the ancient world. The mausoleum of Halicarnassus, the lighthouse of Alexandria. All of these items are wonders of the ancient world, and the Hanging Gardens is a feat that Nebuchadnezzar did for his wife, built this magnificent garden in the middle of a desert. The Claudians also revived Sumerian culture and made notable advances in astronomy, studying the stars, and mathematics, which all of you don't like, but it's extremely important. The Claudians studied the sky to understand the gods. The astronomers, people who study heavenly bodies, map the stars, planets, phases of the moon at this time point in our history. Chariots, digging canals is the technology, but they're studying the phases of the moon as well. Pretty impressive for a group of people. That, by the way, L, no for the quiz, no for the test, okay? Circle M. This is extremely important. The Phoenicians' most lasting achievement was the creation of the alphabet, a set of letters that can be combined to form words. This was a major, major, major development that has had a huge impact on the ancient world and the way that you are capable of reading what's on this page right here. Without the Phoenicians, I don't know what we'd have. That's a good question. Know that the Phoenicians are the ones responsible for our alphabet. And you can see off on the picture here, the Phoenician alphabet, that looks like gibberish to us, but you can kind of see the modern translation to the letters there. And not all 26 letters are there, but you got to start somewhere. All right, we're going to skip that. But we're not going to have an essay on the test, but it would probably be a good idea to know why was Mesopotamia an ideal place for civilization to develop. Could be the definition of it. Greek word between land between two rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates. The rivers were frequently and unpredictably flooding that brought in silt. That proved to be good for farming and location for drinking water and all those things. Name one Sumerian technical advance meant and describe how it made people's lives easier. The wheel, the calendar, the clock, all sorts of things there. You might want to go back and check section 2-3 for that. Wow. All right, that was short and sweet, but hope you learned something in this chapter about civilizations. They can be complex. The Sumerians were the first civilization of the world. We got Hammurabi's law codes that were kind of an eye for an eye, and Nebuchadnezzar and the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, one of the seven wonders of the ancient world. So hopefully you took away and you learned something today. It has been fun and enjoyable, and I am looking forward to chapter 4, because in chapter 4, we get the Egyptians and the pyramids. So everybody out there in virtual world, I salute you. Until next time, have a great day, and one of my favorite phrases, roll tide.